Hi you, King here, and let's talk about potential human and spirit fusions in Avatar: The Last Airbender. And by potential, I mean what ifs. Now, as you all know from both Avatar: The Last Airbender and Legend of Korra, we found out that the very first Avatar, Avatar 1, became the very first via fusing with the spirit of light and order, Rava. Then millennia later, a waterbender, Unalaq, fused with the dark spirit of chaos, Vatu, to become the Dark Avatar. And with that, both types of avatars had their bending augmented and boosted to insane heights and levels, allowing them to have the power of 100 benders in the palm of their hands. And since spirits can't really die, what Rava did after Wan passed away was stay fused with them through all of his reincarnations, thereby creating the Avatar cycle as we know it. And what made the regular Avatar different from the Dark Avatar was Rava was used to hold the other bending abilities since Wan couldn't hold them within himself by himself. So when she fused with him, it allowed him and all of his reincarnations to be able to bend the four elements. Something that the Dark Avatar couldn't do since Vatu only fused with a waterbender and wasn't holding any other bending abilities, but was just as powerful in his own right since Vatu, just like Rava, was an ancient spirit. And there was one other person I wanted to mention that sparked this whole thing, the false Avatar Yun, who, after being betrayed by his mentors and politicians after it was revealed that Kyoshi was the true Avatar, vowed revenge on them, and ended up absorbing the essence and power of an ancient spirit, Father Glowworm, who could tunnel through the spiritual plane into the human world and vice versa, creating passageways for dark spirits to attack humanity. Which made me think, what if we could have notable ancient spirits fused with notable Avatar human characters? Which could make really strong characters whose unique abilities are now boosted by that ancient spirit's power. Just like the Avatar, so like, share, subscribe, and follow, and ring that notification bell so you know first when those videos drop. What if Sokka and the spirit Wan Xing Tong had fused to create the wise Avatar? We all know through the franchise and the novels that humans and spirits can fuse together to become something much more powerful. So what would a Sokka and Wan Xing Tong fusion be like? Well, first off, I feel it would be perfectly balanced because Wan Xing Tong and Sokka as individuals are pretty much alike. They can be arrogant at times, and sometimes be humbled at times, admitting to not knowing things that make them look, ignorant. But they're always learning, and they use that knowledge to shape who they become. And it's true, Wan Xing Tong has a disdain for humans, similar to how Sokka once had a disdain for the Fire Nation. So I pose, why not put this fusion in an alternate universe? Example, what if Sokka and his sister Katara never found Aang? Instead, some Fire Nation soldiers, low on supplies on their boat, would sail by their village and raid it, pushing around the so-called warriors who are unable to do anything against their firebending. It would trigger Katara's PTSD on what happened to her mother and cause her to waterbend to try and save her people. But with being an amateur with it, she would easily be defeated and captured, prompting Sokka to travel the world to try and find his sister to bring her back. This would lead him into finding out about Wan Xing Tong's library, and realize the secret to not just freeing his sister but defeating the overall Fire Nation would be there. So after a couple of months, he manages to find it and enter it, where he finds out about the solar eclipse that's going to be happening, the one time where all firebenders lose their bending. Realizing if all the remaining nations attack on this day, then all the Fire Nation will be defeated. But he comes face to face with the spirit Wan Xing Tong, the one who knows 10,000 things, who is sick and tired of humans abusing his knowledge for warfare and is going to slay Sokka where he stands, until Sokka poses a Pai Sho game with a spirit contract where the loser gets absorbed into the winner. And the only reason Wan Xing Tong agrees to this is because Sokka tricks him into thinking he knows where the Avatar is hidden, with Wan Xing Tong arrogantly thinking he's gonna win.
But thanks to the secret Paisho techniques he learned in the library that were done by Avatar Kuruk and the false Avatar Yun, absorbing the spirit Wanshing Tong within his being, Sokka becomes the new Avatar of Wisdom, gaining a face design similar to his Water Tribe war paint. Sokka, now as the Wise Avatar, gains all the power and resources Wanshing Tong once held, like the loyalty and aid of his Truth Seekers, who are dog-like spirits who are tasked with gaining information from around the world. I could see Sokka using them to gain strategic intel on the Fire Nation, or viciously attack soldiers like attack hounds. I could also see in his own version of the Avatar state, Sokka sprouting out wings to be able to fly and gain aerial advantage against his enemies, along with gaining Wanshing Tong's 10,000 pieces of information. You gotta know that some of that information will be how to fight with various weapons or how to chi block to take away bending from people, allowing Sokka, who originally had no powers, to become one of the strongest and wisest avatars. That's why he's the Wise Avatar. For more human spirit fusions, like, share, subscribe, and follow. What if Fire Princess Azula fused with the dark spirit Koi? What type of powerful abomination could be made out of that creepy, twisted combination? Well, let's talk about that. First up, both of them are very similar, so it would be balanced. Azula's mom crazy, Koi's mom crazy. They're both obsessed with revenge, so they hold grudges indefinitely. And both definitely inspire fear, with Koi getting his many victims through manipulating their emotions, the exact way Azula can manipulate people, push buttons to get what she wants. And even though these two have never met, I feel it could be possible in a what-if reality, based around what happened in the comics after the series was over. Like, Azula had escaped just to try and find her mother, blaming her for her turning out the way she did. I pose, what if Azula, in search for her mother, found herself lost in the spirit world? Like, she was just looking in some dark forest and just accidentally stumbled through a portal into the spirit world. You might say it's crazy, but it happens in the Avatar world. And in the spirit world, where things are based around emotions and feelings, I think Azula would find herself constantly fighting spirits that were turning into dark spirits because they were around her super negative emotions, and having to survive until she comes face to face with the dark spirit face stealer Koi. Where there, Koi would immediately try to go for her face, but stop himself in realizing that this person is somehow connected to the Avatar. Not just that, but blames the Avatar for all the terrible things that have happened to her and for her brother beating her. Also seeing somewhat of a kinship, as she also blames her mother and is obsessed with finding her. The same way Koi is obsessed with finding the mother of faces, as they are his mother. And in realizing they have so much in common, Koi decides to make a deal with Azula. If she allows him to become one with her, he promised that both their powers combined will allow them to achieve both of their goals. Azula accepts this, turning even more twisted, becoming the Mad Avatar. Her already destructively powerful firebending becomes even more powerful, and as a bonus gains the power of Koi to disguise herself in many faces that Koi has stolen in the past. And with that, she decides to disguise herself with a blue mask face similar to the one that Zuko used to don on when he was disguising himself as the Blue Spirit. And with the added ability to steal faces, she goes on a one-woman crusade to take vengeance upon, burning to ash anyone who betrayed her in the past, or at least she felt betrayed her. Making this other theoretical world of Avatar fear the name Mad Avatar. Azula, born a monster, lived as a monster, and now forever in myth and legend be a monster. This is the story of her as the Mad Avatar.